Okay, so what we're looking at tonight, we're going to look at John Wheeler, Awakening to the Natural State. And I'm at, just one moment, page 100. And the title of this chapter is Saying There Is No I, What Good Does It Achieve? So, this is the questioner. He says, when I feel fear, panic, and pain arising in my field of consciousness, is this not real? Behind or within all these arisings, consciousness may be untouched, but I still appear to suffer. Is not God living through all these feelings and emotions? By saying there is no I, what good does it achieve? This being, this body-mind machine still suffers, even though I can realize it, that it's happening to a part of me that is not me in the higher self sense. Who am I? Please give me the core of all this. I really want to know. I need clarity. And this is John. You are that presence of existence and awareness that is always here. In truth, it never suffers. You have not yet seen this fully. And so various doubts and issues are arising. They feel real, but they are based on imagination. It is like imagining a ghost in your closet. The fears seem real, but are they? Once you see there is no ghost, what happens to the fear? Fear and suffering never touch this sense of existence that is here. It remains clear and radiant, untouched and free. It is your very heart and life, the core of beauty, light, love, and joy. So, what is the source of suffering? You are imagining yourself to be separate and limited. This is the crux of the issue. But are you a separate I? If so, where is it? What is it? You live as if it is real, but have you really investigated to the roots as to what is the cause of suffering? You seem to want all the suffering and doubts to go away without really understanding the cause. If you look and see that the separate, limited person is not you, and that you are the ever-present light, life, and love, all problems will be resolved. This is the final solution. All our doubts arise because we are confused about what and who we really are. So, drop everything else and investigate what is your real nature. When you see that the false I, which is the cause of ignorance and suffering, is not real and cannot possibly be who you are, suffering and doubt cease. The old habits of thinking may continue for a while, but they have no bite or sting. You are wrong when you say that seeing there is no I does not do anything. You have not seen the truth of it, so you make a quick reply without doing your homework and seeing it. God, truth, the self with a capital S, the eternal, or whatever we call it, is here and now, shining as your very sense of presence and awareness. So see that no matter what you think, say, do, or feel, you cannot negate your presence and awareness. Do not underestimate this. To understand the meaning of what is being pointed to is really the core of all of the deeper paths and teachings. You suffer because you imagine separation, that you stand apart from truth, peace, or God. As long as you continue to think this, there is suffering and doubt. You must investigate to see what is true. In some traditions, they say that reality is existence, consciousness, and bliss. You can find this existence and consciousness here and now, right in your own life, mind, and heart. Truth shines in your heart, waiting for you to see it. It is nowhere else. When it is seen, there is a natural happiness and peace that you feel in your direct experience. All ethics only exist to diminish one's pride and sense of ego. The direct route, which fulfills all ethical teachings, is to live without the ego. How? By seeing it is not real. Is there really an I? Or are you the changeless background of awareness, which is never a mere person, but the ground on which all appearances rise and set? This is one reality, one truth underlying the universe of appearances. It shines in all and as all. It is also the light and life that is your own heart. You have no existence apart from this. Our only sin, in quotes, that is a loaded word, is to imagine separation. You must discover for yourself whether or not the separation is true. Just remember that the existence, awareness, presence, or spirit that is here with you right now is birthless, deathless, eternal, and ever free. So how can there be suffering once you see this? Whenever you suffer, just see that it is based on the idea that you are a person, limited, separate, and bound. But is this what you really are? When you answer this in your direct experience, you will know it for yourself, and the questions, doubts, and suffering will be over. It is important to mention that the desire to get rid of suffering is also part and parcel of the individual. For who wants to end suffering? You do not need to get rid of suffering and doubts as a special undertaking. It is just that when you get clear on the doubts, suffering, and confusion naturally fall away of their own accord without any special effort. They are really just a side effect of a basic ignorance. Go to the root and clear up the basic issue, and everything takes care of itself.
What page was that, Evelyn?
Okay, I just read from page 100 to 102.
Thank you.
And actually, the next chapter, which is a little longer, is a very important one as well. But I don't know that I will do it. That chapter says, I still don't
Right.
get it. Any suggestion? It's probably good. But we can, yeah.
Could you read the opening question? I'm just wondering, what was he?
Okay. The questioner is saying, when I feel fear, panic, and pain arising in my field of consciousness, is this not real? Behind or within all these arisings, consciousness or awareness, or as John says, presence awareness, may be untouched, but I still appear to suffer. Is not God living through all these feelings and emotions? By saying there is no I, what good does it achieve? This being, this body, mind, machine, still suffers, even though I can realize it is happening to a part of me that is not me in the higher self sense. What am I? Please give me the core of all this. I really want to know. I need it. You are that presence of existence and awareness that is always here. I'm wondering if I should just maybe this chapter clarifies somewhat of the chapter that I just read. I'll read some. The body, mind, feelings, and thoughts are objects known or experienced by you. Take a general example. You are sitting at ease, and at some point, a thought appears in your mind. The next moment, it subsides, and another comes up. The thoughts appear and disappear. But what in you is aware of the rising and disappearance of thoughts? There must be some presence of knowingness there. Otherwise, how can you speak of being there to know the experience? You actually cannot think about this presence, know it as an object, track it down or run after it. All that is just more thinking. What is being pointed at is in a completely different direction altogether. You cannot seriously assert that you do not exist or that you are not aware, can you? Even if you do, you have to be present and aware to make the assertion that you are not present and aware. This is not meant to be a matter of debate and intellectual analysis, which in your own experience you have found to be fruitless. The mind can be no arbiter for that which is beyond its jurisdiction. But do not get the idea that this is tricky or difficult. You are present and aware. You know this. Awareness is present. Whatever the philosophical conundrums may seemingly, wherever they take you, and however many doubts or riddles arise, they are simply created in thought. they could not be known or spoken about if they did not appear in your actual being awareness. What is happening is that you are giving all your focus to the thoughts, but overlooking the obvious presence awareness in you that even makes thought possible. The idea of the body, the mind, and the will are just so many thoughts also. Even the question, does awareness arise in the body, mind, or vice versa, is itself just another idea appearing and disappearing in your present awareness. You cannot think your way into awareness. You are awareness. It just gets pointed out. You notice something so basic, simple, and obvious that it went overlooked until now. No matter what you think, say, or do, can you deny that you exist and are aware? Notice this. Everything you think after that is just theory and mental speculation. I want to read that sentence. No matter what you think, say, or do, can you deny that you exist and are aware? Notice this. Everything you think after that is just theory and mental speculation. Maybe it is true, maybe it is not true, whatever the theory may be. You will notice, though, that if you move in that direction, doubt and uncertainty come in. Just see something very basic here. Thinking itself is generating the problem that leads to the doubt and uncertainty. It is coming down from nowhere else. This is a very gut level type of approach. What is certain and doubtless in your immediate experience? What is certain and doubtless in your immediate experience? Philosophical speculation is a rat hole. If you go down that path, you are seemingly lost. Actually, you're not really lost, but it feels that way. If nothing else, at least, do not go down a path that by definition leads to confusion. There is a Zen poem that says something like this: give rise to a single conceptual thought, and heaven and hell are set infinitely apart. This is another way of saying that the answer is not in thinking or the mind. And so the questioner says, I really don't know how to get past this. And John says, this gets to the heart of the issue. What am I? What do I take myself to be? What is the goal I think I am seeking? What is preventing me from seeing that or being that? The question exposes the core issues. It would be highly productive to give some deep consideration to discover what exactly is this thing we call I. And the question says, I know what the right answer is, but it sure looks like thinking and the awareness of thinking are both just functions of the brain. John, maybe or maybe not. It could go either way from a philosophical standpoint. But what are you now? The one who is aware of this line of thinking. Are you a theory? Is your existence and awareness a matter of debate? at a mental level, you are raising various intellectual questions, which is fine. But at that point, you are jumping on board thought and ceasing to notice the light in you that is knowing. This is a perfect example of trying to get it in the mind. Now, I don't know, do you want me to continue this?
I think that's such beautiful stuff, Evelyn. Thank you so much. What you're reading chapter 37, you started that one. And then what was the next parts you were reading?
This one is on page 38.
I don't have pages on the one that I'm doing. So
It
can you
doesn't-
read, do you have chapter numbers?
I don't have a chapter number. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's chapter 38. It's
Chapter 38, where it says, I still don't get it. Any suggestions?
correct.
Okay, great. Yeah, this guy is just he's just right there, man. It's just such beautiful writing. Speaks so clearly. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
sorry. I should have read that. Oh, well. Next.
No, that's beautiful. What you
Next.
awesome. Thank you.
So, but you know, you've got the essence of what he said, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what thought arises, there has to be awareness of it. And it's the awareness of it that is our true nature, not the thought that is arising.
Yeah, he just insists on you
That,
constantly pounding away. What am I? What am I? Who am I? And he's dealing with folks that you don't know. But the question is, it sounds like they want answers. They want answers to, why am I suffering? Well, you can't just get it in reading a couple of chapters or somebody talking to you nice. I think Krishnamurti says it best. You have to be a serious person to get something out of this. And by that, I mean, you have to be willing to spend the time, which I guiltily don't spend as much time, but you've got to spend the time to try to work that out and answer that question. Who am I? And until you get that straight, until you really accept it, that you're a fabrication of thought,
yeah,
you're not, you can't really start to understand this. I'm just starting to understand a lot of this Wheeler and everything else that I've been reading 6-7 years ago. I mean, for me anyhow, it takes a while to get the understanding, because you really have to have an understanding of this. It's not, you can't accept it as some kind of an idea or something, because you're eliminating all of that. What you're trying to do is eliminate the whole idea that all my life I've been living it through the I, through the me. And until I really accept and understand that that's caused me a great deal of suffering, I can't really begin to understand what Wheeler is talking about, or Krishnamurti, and Gene Klein, or anyone else, because it's intellectually acceptable, but it's got to be much more than that, which is where I'm at. I struggle to have it really penetrate and get into. I don't have to think about doing this stuff. It just doesn't come up.
wouldn't you say that it's helpful to when there's a realization that we're on the train of whatever thoughts have arisen, and we dwell on them and get into them. In that moment, if we're fortunate to suddenly switch from what we're getting into and switch to an awareness of what's arising, right? It's like suddenly you realize that that there's an awareness of whatever that thought may be, or whatever that suffering may be. There's an awareness of it. And in that awareness, that's what he's pointing to. He keeps saying that no matter what is arising, and of course it's much more difficult depending on the degree of the pain. And that's why we really need to do it when we're not in pain and when the suffering is not that great, to see in that moment the switch into into what's really going on, which is the only real thing, the only constant thing, which is awareness.
It's almost like having a terrible dream. You're about to suffer some terrible fate at night, and then you wake up and you have that joyous relief to realize that you were dreaming.
Yes.
And all the fear. So it's so to do that in the waking state, when you are lost in fearful thoughts, worrisome thoughts, you have that same moment of clarity that there is, oh, this is a dream. There is no me that's going to suffer that fate. It's like stepping out of the thought stream, which is what he does.
Well, that's what
He doggedly refuses to entertain.
That's right.
Right. He keeps pulling you back to the very basic principle.
No matter what you think, say, or do,
Right.
can you deny that you exist and are aware? Notice this. Everything you think after that is just theory and mental speculation.
Well,
I
Paul
think
thought-
I think one of the big things that I've objected to some of these teachings, like Krishnamurti or also Ira, when he was talking about stuff, like he would say like, well, none of this stuff will really help you, things like that, And what I like about what this guy is saying is basically that like the chapter is what good does it achieve? Saying there is no I, what good does it achieve? But the fact that the actual recognition of it is actually a liberating action in your life. It is a balm in your life. It is a soothing process and a liberating process in your life to free you from. So it will actually change your life, this process. And I think that for me is so significant in any kind of spiritual practice, because I'm doing a spiritual practice because I want to live a more expansive, liberated, joyful life. I'm not doing it just to, so I can have my name on a charter, whatever. I mean, that's my purpose. So I really like this connection that he's made. And I think I think that it leads to the place where it's actually, yes, the recognition that we are not these thoughts, and then the freeing of those thoughts that we don't necessarily want to experience or engage with, and through the liberation of recognizing that we are not those thoughts, we can basically change the course of events that we experience and we go through, thereby change the quality of our life. In other words, it has a real impact on the life that we experience by recognizing that we are not the mind, we are not the thoughts, we are not the emotions. So it's not just something like, okay, none of this is real and I get hit by the car, but it's not real, but I'm dead anyway. You know, it's not that. It's a real connection. So it like permeates the whole core of our being and of our existence. And I like that about this guy. I think it's really brilliant writing. Very insightful.
And here he says here, Chip, you are lumping thinking and awareness together. At the level at which we are speaking, there is a vast difference between awareness and thought. Awareness is that principle which is aware of thought. Awareness knows thoughts, but thoughts can never know awareness. You need to be very clear on this distinction if you are going to make much headway with this approach.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so powerful, Evelyn. Thank you so much. That is just so brilliant. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, I think for me, it's useful knowing that if I'm expecting all the pain to go away in my life, that's not what we're talking about here. Pain comes and goes. You know, setbacks come and go. You lose your job, people die, you get sick. These things continue to happen. But when you start to make yourself as the individual who's suffering, why is it always me that's losing their job or whatever the case may be? That's when the real suffering begins. So, for example, this past weekend, my brother, he's 7 years younger than me. He got married in Portland, Maine, but he didn't tell any of us about. Well, he told us he was getting married. He didn't invite any of us to the wedding, and so I didn't even know when it was, and suddenly I got 3 pictures of the wedding on Facebook, and my first reaction was, I wasn't even invited. What's going on here? And then I started to think about it. I said, this isn't about me, Bill. This isn't about a person at all. This is how they wanted to do their wedding. So, I sort of brought myself back, from that reactivity, knowing that, it has nothing at all to do with me or a person called Bill.
Right.
That's wonderful. And
Yeah.
that's the thing I'm talking about, though. It's like it's a real impact on your life. In other words, it's not like, you cut off your leg and you think, oh, I don't need that leg. It's not like something happens in your life and you just sort of ignore it or deny it. It's like you actually embrace it. You go into the depth of it, and then you reframe it and revision it through an expanded sense of awareness to recognize that there is, like what you're saying, there is no pain. There is no reason for feeling bad. So you're actually liberated in a very real sense from that, which I just think is so brilliant.
Yeah, John Wheeler is very clear, and he keeps hammering away, basically with the same theme over and over again. And one of the sort of lighthearted criticisms of John is that he's a one-horse, one-trick pony.
Right.
But yet it's something that we need to keep hearing over and over and over again. It's that simple, but yet it takes a while to penetrate.
Bill, you probably know this, or you're a Star Trek guy?
I'm my girlfriend is very much one, and I'm learning to be. I was back in the day.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about back in the day. I'm talking the old Star Trek, the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
So in the original,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the original Star Trek, there was this episode, which basically these guys, they go to this Earth-like planet, and they're in need of R&R. So the captain says, "Oh, it's a beautiful planet," and he sends the crew down. And what happens is they start all these bizarre events start happening. Like this tiger appears and attacks one of the guys, and what they basically find out is that the planet was designed by this advanced race for people to go for R&R, and what the planet did is it manifested what they were thinking about. So, but because we were this undeveloped race, we didn't really understand that we were actually creating a reality through our thoughts. So it was this kind of really beautiful thing. But yeah, it's just that recognition, that basic premise. It's nothing but consciousness. There is or nothing but awareness. There is only awareness. And so what do you do with that? Right? It's powerful. And I guess the point I was trying to get to was, in some way, I think these really awesome teachers really boil it down to a one horse kind of guy, or like simplicity. They're recognizing this simplicity that has manifest into the multitude, but it all comes back to this simple idea. It's nothing but consciousness, nothing but awareness.
Yeah.
And then through the recognition of that, then all things are possible, kind of thing. Which if you think of it as nothing is but awareness, then it makes sense that all things are possible, because there's nothing but awareness. So I think that's go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that is a perfect reason to get fully engaged with life too, not to sit back and sort of stay in your cloud and think, I'm above it all. There's nothing here, therefore I'm not going to interact. It's just the opposite. You can really dive into your life and really experience it and love it and appreciate it, with this sort of understanding.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Evelyn and Paul. Thank you again so much for sharing this stuff.
Well, we're gonna leave it there for tonight.
Yeah, how about that?
Lovely.
Meditate.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
We'll see you soon.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Good. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Buonasera a tutti.
Buonasera.
Oh, what was that?
Buonasera.